but it is the wrong way up really for showing, but it is rather brilliant actually. I went down to a London MCM with my 11th Doctor costume. I met a few people who were into it and played some online games and whatnot. We went down, all met up at London. I had a bit of a naff 11th Doctor costume just to get into it. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. So I was really impressed with the cosplay. So next time around we thought we should try something.
You liked it because you got so many people come up to you, didn't you?
Yeah, I like it.
It is
quite gratifying.
It is a bit rock. It's a bit like being a rock star, isn't it? Without having to have any talent. But people come up to you and sort of say, "Oh, can I have a picture with you, Maleficent or Indiana Jones or oh, it's a Ghostbuster."
Basically, it's a play on the words of costume and play. It is essentially a subculture in fandom where fans will replicate costumes of their favourite characters and attend conventions wearing them, and they might even act as that character throughout the day. But it's mostly just a celebration of, you know, different things that they love, whether it's film, video games, TV, comic books, that sort of thing. So
walking down the street in a costume, the reaction from kids, adults, they're just stunned. They're not expecting it. It's like I get on public transport in the costume. They look at the bus or they look at a train and they see Darth Vader standing there or Boba Fett standing there or whatever. They're just like, what's that about?
The world of comic books has been in origin since the 19th century. By the mid-1930s, American comics such as the famous Funnies were stocked at more than 250,000 newsstands across the United States. However, in the past decade, this popularity has filtered into mainstream society and emerged as a cultural phenomenon. Tapping into this rapid ascent has been Comic-Con. Set up in San Diego, United States in 1970, this cult and mass following has spread across the world from continent to continent. But what was originally a niche following from a select group of die-hard fans has developed into a worldwide obsession. At the heart of this, cosplaying.
Basically, it's a play on the words of costume and play. It is essentially a subculture in fandom where fans will replicate costumes of their favourite characters.
It's this wonderful eccentric creativity, and you see with the very little kids in costumes, they're walking around and they're so excited to be Batman or Spider-Man or whatever. And I remember this. I still do it, you know, for a living, dress up. But I think when we get to be adults, we're told we can't do that stuff anymore. And this is this weekend, this bubble of glorious eccentricity where people are allowed to dress up, and it's fun. It's
stuff you enjoy as well. I loved Ghostbusters, so it was kind of something you always wanted. It was like a Ghostbusters prom pack. It was so cool in the film. So it was a mixture of that and like, oh, I can go and show off, be Bill Murray for a day, forget about my college or my work, go be someone else for a day, and it's great fun. I meet all the people I like. Yeah, it is escapism. It is escapism, much like playing a lot of games and films. It's just another form of really cool escapism, I think, with a generally really strong and fantastic community.
I thought the only way that I'm really going to know exactly how it is or how it feels to be a cosplayer is if I do it myself. So I picked MCM Birmingham and thought, right, who am I going to do? Who do I kind of look like? You know, with dark hair, who is it going to be easiest to do, given the fact that I had never done anything like that before in my life. And I thought Lara Croft, because I loved like the 2013 game. I have done, obviously, like a lot of Marvel stuff, maybe a bit of DC as well. I did Black Canary, was one of my first cosplays.
I've always been interested in it. Darth Vader, Star Wars, been a big fan since I was a kid. I went to a Comic-Con without being involved, and I enjoyed it. I thought I've got to get a part of this, and that's where it started. I already had the costume, so I went from there, basically.
And just the whole atmosphere was so kind of fun and positive. And everybody, that's the other thing, is there's obviously rivalry between, there'll be like 2 Iron Men or, you know, 2 Batmen or whatever. But they just seem to size each other up and salute and
so yeah.
Yeah, and then they'll be comparing, you know, how they've joined the EVA foam up, or how they've, you know, got the Iron Man might have a kind of helmet and all that sort of thing. How does that work? And,
also, it's really inclusive as well. There's everybody.
Yeah, from everywhere.
Yeah, from all different walks of life, all different age groups.
Yeah.
Acting out the characters as well, like was it Mortal Kombat and Final Fantasy or something? They'll do toy fights or something or whatever. And I know somebody who's be dressed as Obi-Wan, and he's been having a bit of banter with me on social media, saying, you know, I'm coming for you, Vader, and all this, and you know, I'm going to get you, Obi-Wan, and you know, people see me and him clashing lightsabers.
But this sort of dedication takes time, effort and money.
I met a guy earlier who'd spent a year building this incredible, beautiful outfit. So they're just, I don't know, they're just sort of the celebration of creativity and silliness as well, which is important in life, I think.
I know, it's the more effort you put into it, and you just need to practice loads of times in the outfit, and it's, how much is it? I don't know, a lot of money. Yeah. Worth it money though. Yeah.
This has been in the making for about a year. Well, this cost me about 70, 80 pounds to put together the whole thing.
Some of the costumes and the effort that's gone into it, I think it's brilliant. You know, especially like with the London event, it gets over 100,000 people. Some of the costumes are incredible. They literally look like they've just walked off a movie set, and it's just, you know what I mean. I get as many pictures as everybody else with the people with costumes.
This is all handmade, including the dress. That's hand stitched. Wow. So it took about. It must have took about 3 months to get it all together, because trying to get the bow to work on my back and everything just wasn't happening. And trying to find plastic knives is surprisingly hard.
It's not often you get Chewbacca and Johnny Depp in the same room.
The best is when they're characters, when they go into it and they don't come out of character. I love them ones. They're the serious ones.
Yeah.
They're the Comic-Con serious.
You like a bit of commitment.
I do, mate, yeah.
It's almost like a live Dungeons and Dragons as well, isn't it? And like, there's a guy there dressed over as Judge Kelly from 2000 AD. And he's got the whole kit. He's got the lawgiver, he's got the truncheon. Absolutely brilliant. You know, and my teenage daughters are here somewhere, you know, and they're like, next year I'm coming, you know. They're already planning what they're coming as next year.
It's annoying because I'll pick something up, I'll start working on something, I'll look at the clock and I'm in work in 2 hours, I've been up all night.
There's hundreds and thousands of people who do it across the country in various clubs and societies. I mean, you've probably seen the steampunk stalls, you've seen the various sort of comic book stalls. It's a big hobby.
So things like the EVA foam, which is really cool stuff. So that's it there. And that's really made for things like lining camera cases. So you've probably got something like that in your cases, I guess, or non-slip matting in the back of cars. That's about 20 quid for a roll, and that's about
the basis of it.
Yeah, that's about a third gone. So I'm anticipating by the time we've made legs and arms that we'll get through at least another roll of that. So that kind of makes up to 20 quid. And then you've got like paint.
Yeah, I was sewing into lots of leather. As you can tell, it's like lots of like used belts, which was fun, tearing apart. My hands were like aching after. But yeah, the costume itself took about like 6 months to make.
Most of the cosplays you pass in the convention are just normal people with everyday jobs.
Moments with private hired taxi driver.
I'm actually a telecoms engineer.
Veterinary care assistant.
Graphics designer.
I'm a firefighter.
I'm a nurse.
Game designer.
I'm a lawyer.
But yeah, they're mainly just normal people who are a fan of films and comics and TV shows.
But has this world of cosplaying become more of an obsession than a hobby? Does dressing up really remove people from the norm of the 9-to-5 shackles?
This is the escapism that everybody needs from the day-to-day life. Being able to, whether it's dressing up in cosplay or going out, doing your hobbies, take another persona and leaving mobile phones and computers at home are the release that you need.
It gives people, I think people who are quite shy, that wouldn't normally come or interact, it gives them a confidence they wouldn't normally have in themselves. And that's really nice.
I think it's, I don't know, it's just kind of like a personal favourite character of mine, and to go out as a day, on a day out, like dressed as him, it's really nice. Like, everyone's always really positive about it and come over and chat to me, high fives, things like that, so it's really quite nice.
And the good thing about this is a lot of these guys wearing costumes, I guarantee they wouldn't speak to you normally. I think it gives them the confidence to just sort of like say, you know what, you can't see who I am, but this is my persona. And so they just go, hey, live life as it should be.
Cosplay, innit? It's a bit of fun. Everyone should do it. Everyone does do it, so why not?
I always miss it when I go back to work the day after. If I go away for the weekend, especially London, the Friday night, the Saturday and the Sunday night, usually have the Monday off work, and I go back on Tuesday, it's like, why is everyone in suits? Where's all the costumes gone? Where's all the excitement? We're back to kind of suits and a beige office. So
with cosplay, it's one of those ones where cosplay can be anything. It's costume play. It can be, you can turn up dressed as your football team, or you can turn up dressed as an anime character. So the joy for people in wearing costumes and creating costumes, they can do whatever they want. We have a great masquerade, but not everybody takes part because it's not possible. But all these people turn up so they can be part of the experience and dressing up. We have the Euro Cosplay Championships in London. That means 26 countries with 42 entries come to battle it out to be the best in Europe. And we also have the World Cosplay Summit this year in May as well. So we have the two biggest competitions in the world in London in May, on May and October. But it's anything goes. If you want to be dressed up as a My Little Pony, you can come as a My Little Pony. You want to dress up as a cat, come as a cat. There was somebody out there dressed up, a father dressed up as Curious George. You know, anything goes. And there was a stormtrooper basically who created a costume where he was landed on top of an Ewok, and the Ewok was carrying him around on his back. It was sort of a variation on the emu, and a guy sitting on emu. Great. So cosplay is a way of everybody expressing whatever they'd want to be somebody else for the day.
Also there will be the businesses, the vendors, and the odd celebrity, all of whom play a pivotal role in creating the magic. But I want to find out, why are they here and what brings them back to the event every year?
Yeah, it's terrific, because I've been coming to Comic-Cons for years as just a visitor, because I think if you work in this world, I think the people that are good at it, they tend to be huge geeks. And I'm a massive geek, so I love all this. I grew up watching Scooby-Doo, Danger Mouse, and Star Wars. And now I work on Scooby-Doo, Danger Mouse, and Star Wars.
It's a good day out, isn't it? It's a good laugh. That's what these things are. They're just great fun. And everybody's been so lovely. And you're surrounded by people that you sort of grew up watching, you know what I mean?
Well, of course, on the business side of things, it affects us greatly. You know, at the end of the day, we have many customers come and support Tokyo Toys by buying the merchandise at the end of the day, which helps the business grow and helps us be able to put back into the community, into the anime culture by supporting MCM and the cosplays, by opening shops to provide a service for these fans to actually come and buy some goodies outside of Comic-Con as well. Which is quite an important part of it. But like I said, it's all about the fans at the end of the day. They support us by buying the merchandise, and so in return we can kind of provide them this epic service at the same time of being able to provide things for the con-goers themselves.
Reaching more customers, again, a wider range of audience, people that are interested in kind of mangas, animes, movies, all in the same place, as opposed to trying to find them online.
This is a really nice way to have one-on-one kind of conversation with people and it's always a thrill when people have enjoyed something you've worked on, because when you're making something, you know, you're sort of aware of it going to an audience, but you make it for each other. You're a little family and you build this thing together, and then you send it out into the world. And you always hope people are going to love it, but at one of these events, it's a beautiful way to meet the people who actually watch the shows. And the great thing is, it's only people who like the shows who come up and say hi. So no one comes up and goes, "You were rubbish in that," because they wouldn't come up to say hi. So you just get this wonderful positive reinforcement for the stuff you've done.
you know, you should enjoy the work as much as people enjoy watching your work, and that's the bond that's created here. You know, we're all human beings. There should be a mirror removed, you know, a wall removed, and you can have a chat about a passion that you both share. I'm in it, and somebody else is watching it.
Just a great place to spend the day as a trader and just as a punter. They're fantastic.
You get to introduce yourself to all these people, so like it's great for advertising yourself and getting yourself being seen, and it's probably where we do our most sales.
We've met a lot of new customers, and we've met a lot of people that have been on our website, but this is the first time that they've come to an event and seen us here. So yeah, it's been really good.
We try to make the atmosphere better. As we like talking to people. We like to get out into the crowds of people, and just we're fans as well. You know, we're not just creators. We're fans of the genres. We're fans of comics, fans of films. So you know, we're just the same. You know, we just happen to make them as well.
I've turned up to Comic Cons to meet people whose work I admire. And my attitude to this is I come to have a great day, and other people come through the door to have a great day. And you know, people will come and they'll say how much they enjoy your work. I love seeing the reaction that they get. I'll give them a whole stack of voices, and between the two of us, it just makes for a fantastic time. Yeah, that's a really cool way to spend the weekend.
Seeing everyone having a good time, having fun, that's all I care about. So just to hang out, meet new people, see people dressed up, seeing celebrities from some awesome shows, I think that's what it's about. Everything else, the stalls, money, any of that, meaningless to me. It's just hanging out, people who enjoy the same things and having a good time.
Part of the stigma for years surrounding comic book conventions and Comic-Cons is the notion of geekiness. But are attitudes changing?
How do you think the culture's changed, you know, for Comic-Con events? Do you think it's more popular now?
Yeah, it is extraordinary, and it is very much, it's a really, what I think is important about it, it's a really gentle environment for people who are maybe a bit shy or have been teased a lot about their interests or their looks or their tastes, and they dress a bit oddly, and they get, you know, you can sort of sense that here, they can come here and they can dress in the most bizarre way you can possibly imagine, and they're completely safe and they're supported and understood, and no one takes the piss, and it's great. And I think that's really that's a lot of it behind that, and I love that kind of the support that there is between people here. It's not a bullying or a critical, you know, you don't get the piss taken out because you're a hobbit or you're a manga character. Everyone's accepted, which is great.
Comic-Cons were looked as, I think, perceived by the general public that it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of comic book nerds who dress up, and it's not. You see how big it's gone in the country, like America had it first, other countries, but in England it's took off in the last 5 years, and it's got pretty big, and I think people don't realise how big it is until they go and see it.
More families are now getting involved. Some of the things that we do as well, like you've got the arcade games, you've got the full-size prop builds that little kids just love to have pictures in front of. So I think we're pulling a mixture of the geek crowd and also families, which is making our target audience even bigger and attracting more people.
At the end of the day, you know, you want to go see sport, you go to a stadium, you know, you've got all these things that you can go. You didn't have anywhere to go. People who love this sort of genre of films or gaming or this, they had nowhere to go. And these Comic-Cons have kind of brought everybody together for the first time. And if they want to, you know, for instance, if they were at school the minority in a sense of being picked on because they were gamers or picked on because they loved this, that and the other manga or whatever it is, they've got a place that they can go, and none of that's, all of that's irrelevant, and they actually celebrate each other and celebrate what they believe in and what they love and what makes them happy. So I think it's brilliant like that. So
I started attending conventions back in 2012, and I think it's just blown up completely. There's more people even going to like local Comic-Cons. You know, there used to be about maybe 200 attendees, now it's like 2,000, or you know, it's crazy. But I think it's just because now it's it's okay to be interested in those things. I mean, I remember when I was in school, and yeah, I was, you know, a complete geek, and you know, people would be like, oh, you collect figures, that's so weird. And now people celebrate that, you know, it's a celebrated thing in pop culture.
The whole geek culture thing is definitely rolling a lot more. Once upon a time, if you're into comic books and stuff at school, you had to kind of keep that to yourself if you didn't want to get wedgies and things like that. But nowadays, it's all the rage and stuff like that, you know. Geek is the new sexy.
I love the term geek. I love the term nerd. I think we're all geeks and nerds, really, and occasionally people pretend they're not. But to me, all it means is you just have this. It's smart silliness, and you know, the most interesting people in the world. The kids at school who are like the super cool and not geeky, look at them now. Sorry if you're a kid at school and you're super like not geeky, but life's gonna be crap later. No, it won't be. It'll be good. Promise. But it is, you know, it's the kids who don't fit in or who are weird at school. They're the ones who tend to go and do great things in the world. So so I think those words, the reclaiming of those words is wonderful. I wish these existed when I was a kid, because, you know, it's then when I sort of grew up in a very sort of sporty culture, and I was useless at it. So so my kind of hobbies weren't, you know, I couldn't come to these kind of things. So now I look around and go, this is just brilliant. And I see little kids sort of whose parents bring them to this, and they're going to grow up with this really cool attitude to creativity and eccentricity. So it's great.
I think it's going to get more popular as more and more people look for hobbies and entertainment that mirror what they see in the media, be it films and comic books. If you can actually step into that, it's going to be more popular.
I think it is, but a lot of people think it's uncool to be a nerd, you know. You know, you got to put toys like this away someday and be an adult. Screw that.
Geeks never used to be cool, but now everybody's a geek because everybody watches sci-fi. Because everybody, they'll all say that they don't watch sci-fi, but then you ask them what their favourite film is, and they go, oh, Star Wars or Terminator, and they always mention. And not all the biggest grossing films are always science fiction.
So what do you think's changed in culture? Why do you think it's now more cool? More acceptable?
Money.
Money?
Yeah.
Why would you say money?
Because Star Wars makes £1 billion. And how much does Lock, Stock make?
It's more accepted. Because people aren't so uptight. You know, it's accepted that you can have an alter ego or a persona, and that, you know, I'm supposed to be the doctor, for crying out loud, you know. I'm a college lecturer. You know?
People just embrace it now. Yeah, I think it's come to a point where people actually enjoy, you know, accepting it kind of type thing.
I would say because of the way games have changed over the last 15, 20 years, and because of the way that they've lowered the violence in some of the games, so you've got more kids who will play them, then it's acceptable. You know, you take that little, I'm going to a fancy dress party, and you get to 51 years of age and say, I'm going to a fancy dress party, it's called Comic-Con. You know, I think it's great, I really do.
However, it's clear that those who enjoy cosplaying are happy to engage in the culture regardless of any criticism. But what about those who choose not to indulge in dressing up?
We came in with our eyes closed about everything really, and then when we came in, it was just like an eye-opener to us all really.
Comic characters for everyone, aren't they? Not just kids, and you've seen that today with the adults. So it's... That's it, yeah.
Even the Street Fighter games we remember when we were kids, yeah, and playing it retro style on the arcade machines.
Because I've never been to one before, I didn't know that all the adults would dress up like this as well, so now that I've seen it, the next one I would definitely.
Do you know what? I didn't even know what to expect just before we come, but it's busy, real busy. Then we'll come to some more, won't we?
Yeah.
Definitely. Possibly dress up as Superman next time and...
I don't know, to be fair, we wish we would have done it now. But as I say, it's the first one, so... but no, they all look like they're putting loads of effort, so if they do it again next year, then by all means we'll be here.
Yeah, basically in America they use the term nerd is cool, and basically geek is chic. And it really is. It's a case of people are viewing things now as a very much a broad canvas where comic books lead to graphic novels lead to animation series lead to movies or lead to video games, or vice versa, video games lead to movies. And everybody likes fantasy because the technology we're surrounded with now, which you know, we have phones, we have what Dick Tracy had in his old cartoons and his old comic books. We have what they had on that, whether it's Star Trek with communicators. So everybody's become involved in what was science fiction but is now fact, and now what science could be. So they love, and especially the wider thought of what is out there, because everybody loves sci-fi and Independence Day. So it's very well accepted.
In 2002, when Spider-Man became the fastest superhero movie to break the $100 million mark, the genre has never looked back.
If you look at what's in the cinema now at the moment, you've got a preponderance, haven't you, of superhero films. You've got all the Marvel sort of steam train really rolling those out. So I mean, if you go around the Comic-Con tomorrow, you'll see a load of Thors, you'll see Harley Quinn's
a wall
dropping
of
out
Deadpools,
wardrobes.
yeah.
God knows how many Batman, all white suddenly go, I'm the Batman, oh, I'm the Batman.
Yeah, like a
Right,
gravel
each other. There'll be loads of Iron Man. Even we saw just a billionaire Tony Stark Iron Man, didn't we? Blackpool.
He was quite, we had the arm.
He was fantastic, yeah. But I mean, he just looks like Robert Downey Jr. So I suppose there's that, isn't there? That part
The
of
big
cinema,
Marvel
popular
thing.
culture, all the stuff that's on Sky, the Gotham stuff.
I think it helps the movies have been good as well, actually.
Yeah, they
I think
actually have.
Good movies, good superhero movies have kind of made them publicly watchable
Yeah.
rather than the kind of slightly ropey Superman ones back in the day.
And there might be, we've had like a period of austerity, haven't we? A really bad, quite tough time.
So
And maybe it's like a party, it's to celebrate, people trying to just push that to one side and just have a bit of a good time.
I kind of really associate it all with like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and like how comic book movies are now. It's a genre. It never really used to be. And I think because now they have a formula in how to attract obviously the die-hard fans and the casual moviegoers, it's just a lot more acceptable.
There's no doubt that culture has changed. The traditional comic book culture that it preceded has evolved into a dedicated world of cosplaying, not just for a select few, but for everyone to enjoy. And for those who go beyond the realms of typical costume dressing, their obsession is no different to other pastimes, such as reading comics, playing video games, or going to the cinema to see their favourite characters. And with social media growing, comic book culture thriving, and the cinema jumping on the bandwagon, the world's the platform for cosplay. But what happens if and when it ever slows down?
To be honest, I've been doing these events for years, so in the time I've been doing them, it's been a massive audience there, but it seems to be growing. I don't know if it's because we're getting more popular, but over like this year especially, to sell tickets has been a lot easier than it was 3 years ago. So I definitely think it's something that's growing and growing.
Whether it'll plateau, I don't know. How big can it get? New York, I believe, claims 165,000 people. San Diego claims 145,000. We claim 130,000. How high can it go? As many people want to buy a ticket, and if the building can take it. The thing about San Diego is they're at capacity, but I think in true sense San Diego's the biggest because there's at least 100,000 people in that town who don't have tickets, who turn up to take part in the city and the adventure of the festival. For New York, they can't get any bigger, their venue is at capacity, but for us with London at XL, we've only still used half the building. So we've got the other half to go. So could we go to 200,000 people? Possible, but it's all down to whether people want it from us and whether they'll embrace it anymore. Is there a ceiling? Right now, no.
I'm sick of telling you how I feel. I need to wake up my imagination. I'm sick of feeling let down with myself. Cause you're your own boss, your own master of your own reality. And don't you get lost, it's only what you perceive, yeah. So if you see us smiling, feel a Milky Way. And if you see us smiling, know it's just a better day. Cause it's all just in your head, your wish is in heaven. I felt when I left you. I need to wake up my imagination. I'm sick of feeling let down with myself. Cause you're your own boss, your own master of your own reality. Don't you get lost, never ever go away. So if you see us smiling, feel a Milky Way. And if you see us smiling, know it's just a better day. Cause it's 'Cause you're your own boss, your own master of your own reality. Don't you get